Normally in airsoft, snipers and bolt actions are designed to be precision and long range. However, this is a gas gun, and gas guns are usually the opposite of that, and so we're going to see what I did to try and fix that. All right, today we're going to be talking about trying to fix the KJW M700. This is an ancient platform based on the old Tanaka platform, if you know what that is. It's a gas-style rifle, probably developed in the 90s, I believe, and then KJW made a copy of it, and that's what they've sold ever since. They haven't really changed anything in it. So we are talking about a very old airsoft-style tech. And I bought one of these because this was actually my first sniper rifle, not this one. This is like the third or fourth that I've owned because I keep refusing to learn my lesson. But I decided this time around, against all reason and sanity, that we were going to take a gas gun and we were going to make it into something that could actually be used as a functional bolt gun in airsoft the way they're supposed to be played, which is long range and relative consistency. So what did it take to get there? The answer is you replace almost everything, but not entirely everything. The stock is original. That may be where we end. We'll see when we go through the parts list. So the biggest problems with the KJW is that it's very inconsistent on the gas, and there's a couple of reasons for that. The first issue is, let's start at the base, which is the magazine itself. These magazines are terrible. They're so bad that a company came out with a upgraded firing mechanism plunger system that goes inside this magazine to make it less terrible. And it still changes it from horrific to mediocre, which is not what you need in a bolt gun. The next thing that's terrible is the rest of the gas system, which is your bolt. The bolt system is so bad that that also immediately had to have parts replaced. Now there's two ways to do it. Either you can replace the O-ring seals and that helps a little bit, or you just replace the entire bolt with a steel bolt from Action Army, which is what I did. And that also fixed the problem. After I did those two changes, which is swapping out that magazine for these, and this is a CO2 magazine to further help, and changing the bolt, the consistency is not spring levels good, but it is, I would say, over an entire course of a magazine, my maximum deviation extremes are about 20 FPS, which for a spring gun, that's terrible. But for a gas airsoft gun from a full to an empty magazine, that's spectacular. So is it like, will it compete with a spring gun? No, it won't. But is it usable as a bolt gun? Absolutely. This particular gun I have used, and I have got confirmed hits at 2.8 joules, over 300 feet with it in a game, not in a static position, but actually in use. And then in terms of other upgrades that were changed on this. So I added the Mars rail to it. This is so you can add lasers if you want to run a laser system. So you can actually use this at night if you want, which is what the Mars system was designed for. I'm not sure what the airsoft version they call this is, but in real life, it's the Mars rail system. The barrel is not the original outer barrel. It is an Action Army outer barrel. The inner barrel is a new inner barrel. It is a Lambda inner barrel. The hop-up also had to be replaced. The hop-up is now an Action Army hop-up. The stock, as I said, is original. The upper receiver part here, this is actually original too, so we have like two original parts because there was only one company that made a cool one that was laser engraved with Remington, but that's long since out of production, and the only reason it's not on here is because I can't find it anywhere. And then the inside of this, if you're not familiar, there's a chassis which holds all the bits together for your trigger mechanism. That was also changed with all of the trigger bits because, as it turns out, when you use this in extreme weather, you'll have problems. We used it where it sat in the rain for like 4 hours, and the O-rings or something in this trigger mech, or the original bolt before I swapped the bolt, actually swelled up so this gun would have hang fires if you soaked it in water, which is kind of weird on a bolt action, for airsoft especially. So the entire trigger mech was replaced, and replacing it with the Action Army trigger mech also further increased the consistency down. So it was I gained another like 3 or 4 FPS consistency by swapping it out to the Action Army triggers, which I think are slightly stronger springs because they work more consistently with these CO2 magazines. Obviously for optics, it didn't come with an optic. This is a primary arms optic. So basically everything involved with shooting an airsoft gun, if you want this KJW to work, you need to replace it. Literally every single part. But you can keep some of the external parts if you want, which is why you really shouldn't do this. But you can if you want to. So, but if you decide like, hey, I want to build an external, I want to build a gas gun and I want it to be consistent and I want it to, you know, enjoy it that way, you can do that without spending nearly this much money. And how you do that is you just buy the Action Army version of this straight from the factory and you'll get 90% of the way there. And it'll save you a ton of money, make your life easier. The only catch to that is that it won't have this more traditional stock. But as long as you're okay giving that up, that is by far the best way to do it. It's much, much better way to do this. If you do that, the Action Army is actually fieldable out of the box. Is it a precision good bolt action? No. But can you take it out to a local game? Could you even take it out to an AMS, an MSADO, something like that and use it? Yes, absolutely you can. Or you can go down the rabbit hole and spend many more times than the cost of the original gun just to get it shooting half as well as a bolt action. So don't do that. Don't repeat this. Don't build this. Because although it's super, super cool, it's a terrible way to spend money unless you're just really into this kind of weird nostalgic experience from when you first started playing airsoft. So that is how to fix a KJW M700 to make it work. Just replace everything and it's fine. All right, thanks guys.
Before I stop recording, what do you think the number is?
The number, okay. Well, here's the thing. I had the Action Army as a donor gun to replace this, so it's kind of weird. But if I didn't have the donor gun, let's see, 100 here, 100. Basically, you're gonna spend about 4 times what the gun costs to make it into a good shooter. That's the answer.
Wow.
Oh, plus these magazines.
What if I told you that a JG Bar 10 is
Literally, you can almost buy a JG Bar 10 for the cost of this magazine.
Oh my God.